Okay, here we go. You will have to accept that I am recording just so that it's not in the center of your screen. Okay, so as we get started with the new year, a lot of people love vision boards. Vision boards are really grounding. There's something that a lot of people use to manifest. So if you ever hear celebrities talk about vision boards, you're usually going to hear that with a parallel conversation around manifesting. So getting out of life what you're looking for, what you really want. Today, I'm not going to go into manifesting at all, but I love vision boards because they really are grounding and they really give you like that visual representation of like, what are my dreams? What are my goals? What do I want out of life? And the new year is a really interesting time to start a vision board because 75% of people quit their New Year's intentions within the first 2 weeks. I bet you it's even higher than that. But this is a powerful way to remind you of what you want to experience most in your life. So this can serve as an anchor. It can also serve as a compass when you come across a crossroad where you need to make a decision. And I'm not talking just big crossroads, but those little things in life like, hey, do I want to go out for supper or do I want to cook at home? There's a pro and a con to both. I was just having that conversation just at home right before I hopped onto Zoom. So all of those little things in life add up to those big things. So when we're thinking about manifesting and visualization, it is all of the things that we want. So visualizing really is a powerful tool that many people use to manifest. And we are going to be putting down our ideas onto a board that will help focus you when you may be getting distracted. So when we get started here, we're just going to start with a brief journaling activity. So if you grab a pen and a paper, I'm going to give you some ideas and some prompts. Whenever I do journaling, it's really important that you don't filter. So don't be like, oh, I really like, I think this, but I don't want to write. No, don't do that. Don't overanalyze. Don't worry about anything. Simply write down your ideas on your paper. You may never look at them again. Okay. It's just to help you kind of get in that flow of thinking about where you're at and where you're headed. Okay. So hopefully you have a piece of paper. You don't need your video on. Nope. You can mute if you want to, and then just unmute when you want to talk, but you don't need your video on. It's up to you. Either way, I'm good with. Okay, so when we're thinking about this last year, what brought me the most joy? So this is our first prompt. Thinking about our last year, what brought me the most joy? What is something that I did that I'm proud of? Just going to give you a few ideas, whichever resonates with you, you can write on. What lessons did I learn? And what am I most grateful for? So for those of you who are on live, I will also write those in here in the chat for you. So what brought me the most joy? What is something that I'm proud of? What lessons did I learn? What am I most grateful for? And when you feel like you've exhausted your ideas, just let me know. I don't want to rush you. You have time. These prompts really help you develop your vision board so that it's actually representing what is like in your deep down desires. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a minute to wrap up your ideas. You can always go back to this. Most people, when they really invest in doing this process, they'll do it over a few hours, and then they may even come back to it again and again. I feel like this is like super bright. Are we okay? Okay. Yeah, so just wrap up your thoughts. We're going to move on to the next. Okay, so the next part of this that we're going to play around with, you may have already done this, but we're going to think about an anchoring or guiding word that we are going to use as kind of that like compass or that lens of which we're going to look through as we start to visualize the different aspects of our lives that we are thinking about for this year. So a guiding word or an anchoring word. If you already have one, you can pop it into the chat. We're going to do a little bit of an activity though that may kind of redirect what you're thinking. So consider words that come to mind when you are when you're visualizing what you want your year to look like. Okay, so what do you want your year to feel like? What do you want your year to sound like? Kind of get that vision or that feeling, that sense of what you're really looking for. And then I want you to just write down words that come to mind of this year I want fill in the blank. So some ideas that people have used are words like peace or empowering, leadership, intention, motivating, embrace, vitality, impact, shine, undaunted. So just think of like all of those like good juicy words that you're like, if I had one year, this would be my year of growth. This would be my year to shine. This would be my year to embrace the leader in me. So just get I'm only going to give you 2 minutes to get down as many words as you can think of. Again, don't filter, don't overthink it. We often like to overthink things. Don't do that. Contribution, collaboration, difference, conquer, wellness, confidence, can't remember which words I've said and haven't said now because I just have a whole list of them here. Focus, brave, once you have a whole list of words, a whole bunch of them, go back and circle 3 words that stand out to you. They may not even be what you were thinking before you hopped on here. And once you have your 3 words, ask yourself what the theme is, because there's always a theme. They're not usually random. They're usually connected in some way. And then when you want to narrow it down a little bit more, which one kind of excites you? Which one might make you a bit uncomfortable? So the whole process of growing is to bring about change. And change is not comfortable. It's not something that we as people enjoy usually. Even when we want it, it's uncomfortable. Which one makes you just a little bit scared? It's probably your word. The one that you're like, yeah, this is a stretch. That's probably your word. Now, you don't have to stay with it. You may start looking at images and graphics and start to think, ooh, actually, you know, I chose leadership, but really what I want to do this year is embrace my passion. So it can change. They're likely going to still be connected, but they will ebb and flow until you've settled on a word that just keeps coming back to you. So an example is last year, my friend actually made me this necklace that says vitality. My word last year was vitality. And that word really quickly changed into vibrant. And I don't even know how that happened. It was just one day I was talking and it just came out. And then it was like again and again and again, I totally forgot about my initial word. And I just had a year where I'm like, no, I really want to embrace life, which is where I started with vitality and ended up with the word vibrant. So they can change, but they're usually still connected even when they do change. So it's all good. Okay, do we have a word? If you have a word and you're comfortable sharing it in the chat even, I'd love to hear it. You don't have to share. You never have to share. The words that make you feel comfortable, that you're like, this would be an easy word for me this year. Maybe you have a word like peace and you're like, yeah, I would like that to be my guiding word, but that would be easy because I'm generally a peaceful person. That's not your word. You've already done that. The purpose of an anchoring or guiding word is to have something that challenges you, that pushes you outside of your comfort zone and makes you grow. Okay, so if you have a comfortable word, I want you to cross that off. Beautiful word, not your word. Okay, so pick a new one. Okay. We're going to keep rolling. Nobody's stopping me, so I'm going to keep going. You have to stop me. If you have questions or thoughts, you have to stop me. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to think about something we want to accomplish this year. Now, it may be something tangible, perhaps a job or a course or a purchase or something like that. It may be more growth driven. So, for example, people who lack confidence, I will often say you need to start with yourself. You need to start with that personal growth. There are great books, there's great podcasts, there's great resources. But if confidence, for example, is your word, why do you want that? Do you want that so that you can show up more authentically at work? Do you want that confidence so that when you enter your marriage, you're able to bring your whole self to it without holding back? Do you want to be able to model for your children or your friends what it's like to show up in your life unapologetically, just who you are? Why do I want to achieve this goal? Why do I want this guiding word in my life? Okay, just going to have you wrap up your thought. You can always come back to any of these activities. When I move on into doing some vision board stuff with you, just know that you can come back. You can pause the vision board piece and just do the journaling piece if that's where you're at. And it's all good. This is your time. But you have been writing for about 20 minutes straight now. So what we're going to do is, if you go back in and you just kind of like quick grab a few ideas that really just pop out to you, I'd love for you to circle the ideas that are most important to you. So when we think about different ideas in life, you need to ask yourself, am I interested in this or am I committed to this? Because that language is very different. I read a book once called Not a Fan, and it was all about not wanting to be a fan in life, because a fan can come and go as you get like a key player or a winning streak. All of a sudden you'll notice sports teams have tons of fans that seem to come out of the woodwork, but as soon as that team is losing again, well, they kind of die off. And what we want is to not be a fan in our own life. We want to show up committed each and every day to our vision for what we want for a life. So if you're committed, you're going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. So there are some ideas in there that you're going to be like, oh, this is a great idea, and I'm interested in making this happen, but this isn't like a ride or die idea. So some examples are, perhaps I'm like, you know what? I really want to buy a blender. That's a great idea. Maybe that goes on your vision board. You want to buy a blender, but it may not be a ride or die. Whereas perhaps one of your vision is getting out of debt. Well, that may be something you're more committed to. So that is going to make the vision board for sure. Those ideas that you're like, I am all in, like I am all in on this. Those are going to make your vision board. The ideas that you really like, that would be interesting, they might make your vision board, but they might not. So you might be like, oh, I'd really like to go on a trip to the mountains. I'd really like to do whatever. Those might be a maybe thing, but if it's a, I am going to make this happen, those are the things that need to make your vision board. So when you're looking at all those journaling ideas, just circle the ones that you're like, oh, this excites me. This scares me because I don't know where to begin, but this excites me. Those things need to be on your vision board. As we move into looking at the vision board, keep in mind, this can be for any period of time. You may want to create a vision board that you're like, in the next 6 months, this is my vision as to what I'm going to make happen in my life. You may think I'm going to make a vision board for the whole year for 2023. Or you might be like, I'm going to have aspects of this vision board that I'm focusing on this year. I'm going to make happen. I don't know how maybe, but I'm going to make them happen. But you may have aspects on there that are more long-term. So I have a long-term thing on my vision board that I've had on for a couple of years now. I haven't been able to make it happen, but it's still on there because it's still something that I really want to make happen in my life and I'm working towards. So not everything on your board needs to be within a certain time period. Feel free to make it whatever time period works for you. Okay, so depending if you want to make yours hands-on, if you're like crafty and you want to make a board, you can do these again any size. But I will say, if you're going to start with like a regular piece of paper size, you're going to run out of room for sure. So you want to at least get a few pieces of paper that you can take together. Or better yet, if you're going to take, like I've got a bunch of magazines here that I've played with over the years, you can grab anything that stands out to you, anything that you're like, ooh, that inspires me, or ooh, I really like that. Anything that stands out, words, phrases, even if it's just a font of a word, you can cut it out and make a different word with it later. Absolutely anything without filtering. You're going to cut up all of those ideas and just create a pile of those ideas. Because before you go to actually stick anything down, you may want to then filter. After you've gone through and you've just taken everything you like, just like a kid in a candy store, then you've gone home, you've got all of your little treasures. Now you got to pick what you actually want. That stage comes later, but don't filter when you get started. You never want to filter when you're starting any sort of process. So you're going to cut out absolutely everything or write down phrases. If you come across something, you can jot it down on a piece of paper because you can always build it later, write it later, however you want. Don't worry about that finished product. And then the next idea is a digital one. So this is my first year ever doing a digital vision board. I'm just going to see if I can share one with you here. I use the app or site Canva. I love Canva. I design everything in it. There's a free version of it, and then there's a pro version of it as well. It's just saying it's unresponsive right now because that's my luck. But it will give you all different ideas. So if you want to do a collage style, you can do a collage style. If you want to do something very orderly, that's also like, there's just, the sky is the limit with this. So let's see if I can pull this up. In the meantime, while I see if I can get this responsive for you, start opening up your magazines. If you're doing it hands-on, if you're doing it on a computer, open up your computer, whatever you want. You can go on Google, drop all of your images into your Google Lens. It will keep everything into a folder for you, and then you can scrim through them later and print off what you would like. There's all different ways you can do this. Okay, I think I'm going to have to close all of these down. That's okay. The nice thing about Google is if there is an idea that you have, but you can't quite visualize it yet, you can always return to it later. You can type in something and say, oh, I've always dreamt of whatever it is you've dreamt of. Maybe it's backyard design revamped. And you can go into Google, search what you like, keep your pictures, go away from it, and then come back and filter it that way. All right, I'm going to look up some templates for you here. It looks like it's going to open. I don't think my Wi-Fi is liking me today, but that's okay. Also consider the colors. If you're looking for more peace in your life, you may want to pick softer colors. If you are looking for more adventure in your life, you may want to pick brighter colors. Okay, this is working now, so I am going to present this for you. Okay, it says that you should be able to see it, so hopefully you can. This is the joys of working from my home office and not my regular office with two screens. Okay, so you can see this is Canva. If you haven't seen Canva before, at the top here, I just typed in the word vision board. Now, yours doesn't have to look this fancy at all. I literally for years have only done this with magazines. This is my very first year doing this digitally. Basically, what you would do is you would select the style of the vision board that you like, and then you would upload your pictures into Canva, and then you just drag and drop them, and it just totally replaces whatever image is here into yours. And some of them you may even be like, oh, if I look at this third one here with the airplane, maybe it's like, I would love to travel somewhere this year or next year. Then maybe you keep that airplane on there. That's totally fine as well. So you can see this one is very like clean and organized. It's actually the one I went with this year. Normally I'm very like all over the world. I love lots of ideas everywhere. This one is more collage. And see, this one here has more of a theme or ideas. It's a little bit more organized and very simplistic. So there's no right or wrong way. This one over to the right has self-care, travel, abundance, love, dream. So they've put some words over top of their images that is very collage style. In the top middle here, this one has a little bit more like graphics on it. So it's got images and pictures in what this person's visualizing, but they also have cutesy little things in there as well. This one has words again: successful, calm, soulful, creative, prosperous, delicious, I think that says. It's small on here. So you can see as I scroll down, there are lots of different ways you can create a vision board. There is no wrong way to do a vision board. The most important part is that you're going back to those ideas, to your journal, to your brain dump, where you're able to say, these are the things that just came to me without me filtering. So you can see there's lots of different ideas, no right or wrong way. Some have lots of pictures, some don't have many pictures, some have more words, some don't have any words. There's even some just outlines. Okay, hopefully it gives you some ideas of what it can look like. I'm going to type in a few more of the questions I asked along the way into the chat so that if you're feeling stumped, you go back into these. Remember, creating a vision board is that first step to creating a plan for what you would like to do. Kind of those next steps, those come in more of like a master class or a coaching or something like that, where you're actually going to create some plans. This is to give you an idea. And then the most important thing when you're done this, if it's digital, print it off. If it is made with magazines, put this somewhere you are going to see it every day. It doesn't matter where. It could be in your closet, it could be your laundry room, it could be your bathroom. It doesn't matter. But if this is going to be an anchor, if this is going to help you navigate your little journey, you want to see it. You want to be reminded of, oh, right, one of my goals was to be more healthy this year. This choice I'm about to make doesn't align with that, so I'm going to make a different choice. So you definitely want to, after you've taken the time to do this, you want to print it, post it, keep it somewhere where you're going to see. If you're doing visual, you can also make this as a screensaver on your device. So then every time you open up your computer screen, you can see your vision board for the year. And how cool is that to be able to go back and say, I forgot I wanted to do that and I did it. I'm curious if either of your ideas changed from before you hopped on this to what you're actually kind of have in front of you now. Or if you're like, no, I had an idea of where I wanted to go with this. I know it's hard when you're on your phone, but. Either way, whichever you're comfortable with. You can chat through the microphone, you can type. The typing part won't be in the recording, but obviously the audio is.
Do you have something new on your board this year, Crystal?
I do. I've really shifted what I've kind of wanted and where I want to go. my anchoring thought this year is impact. So that is my word. And I'm like, somebody who probably doesn't need anything else on my plate, but I just feel, again, going through very similar activities where I'm like, this is just where my heart is. So I have some things that I've wanted to do forever that I've never made happen that I'm going to do this year. I'm going to make them happen. And it's like, if it's not going to have a positive impact on me, my family, or the people around me, then it's not going to be a part of what I do.
Excellent.
Yeah. So it's a very different lens. So I have a few different images on there. I can share mine if you would like to see it. And it's a work in progress here. Now go back into Canva and see if I can find mine. But every year I do something a little bit different. Now, for myself, having an anchoring word is a very powerful activity. So when I select a word, I keep it for the year, but I refer back to it year after year after year. And so one year I had the word shine, and I was really like, you know what, being a person who's naturally shy, I always like to be in the shadows. I was like, I'm comfortable being the wallpaper in the room that nobody notices. Like, I'm comfortable with that. And I was just like, nope, I was not made to be the wallpaper. I need to shine. And so that was a word that I had once. Another year, I chose the word undaunted because I just found like I was always letting other people's ideas or other people's opinions or anything that was challenging just kind of hold me back in life. And I was like, nope, this year I'm going to be undaunted. I'm going to do the things. So that now I go back on those words when I'm feeling insecure. I'll be like, nope, I need to grab that word again. And then that might be it. So this is my vision board that I created this year, and all for different reasons that I have these on here. So this one's a long and thin one, but I'm going to actually redo this because I want this to be my screensaver. And like I say, every image kind of represents something different. My volunteer work, I want to change. I volunteer with the Mustard Seed in Calgary regularly, but I have an idea of doing something bigger. And so that one's going to change. And some of them, you wouldn't know by looking at, but like the holding of the dirt, I garden, I love to garden, but I have wanted a compost bin ever since I moved into this house 8 years ago, and I still don't have one, and I did in my old home. So I'm like, this year I am going to have one. I am going to make this happen. So like I say, sometimes you get ideas on your boards where you're just like, it almost seems silly, but I'm like, it's been 8 years and I haven't made this happen. What's holding me back? What is that barrier? So they ebb and flow for sure.
It's exciting though. It's scary when it's time to change, but then sometimes I think you hit that point and it's like it changes from scary to like exciting, and that's when it's time to go, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's what, when we go through the masterclass, you're going to be doing a lot of journaling in that. So I'm glad that you like to write, because we're going to be doing a lot of journaling and a lot of really reflecting, like, who am I and what do I want? What like excites me and scares me? It's a lot of that. And then really thinking about how our mindset impacts what we are willing to go after and where we hold ourselves back. One of my business mentors had said to me because I've been in a coaching program since February of last year. So it's a 1-year program that I signed up for. And she said to me in December, she's like, Crystal, you are holding yourself back and you need to stop that. She just called me on my BS and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to do this. I'm like, it's scary, but we're going to do this. She's like, yes, it's time.
I think that's great for you. And she's right.
So I'm excited. Yeah, there's a lot. I've got a lot of great things coming that I know is going to make a difference for people. And that's why I left admin to go into instructional coaching in education. Was, admin, really, if you think about a ladder, it's higher, right? But I was like, that is not what's like feeding me. Like I love to work with people who want to grow. So now I've expanded that into doing some master classes, and my business program is coming to an end in February, and I am now on the John Maxwell team. So I'm getting all of that training up and running so that I can run some master classes. And the first master class I'm going to run in Brooks is going to be on the 15 invaluable laws of growth, because I really want to work with people who want to grow, who want to just reach that next stage, because I've done it, and I've done it through some really hard things. So I want to help other people do it too.
I think that's great. Good for you.
So yeah, no, these definitely help kind of change and push us outside of our comfort zones for sure. Miranda, if you have any questions or thoughts or anything, you can type them in or unmute. And then if you don't have anything else, I'm going to let you ladies go so that you can now just do the work. Have fun, play with it, pick out all those, like you see a word, you're like, ooh, that's a juicy word. That's a word you want to cut and keep, or screenshot and save. However you're working, you want to keep all of those. Like I say, we're going to be like a little squirrel, and we're just going to like gather all of our ideas, all of our nuts into a big pile. And then we're going to sort the ones that are like, yep, this is for me. And these are great ideas, but it's not strong enough. I'm not committed enough for it to be on my vision board.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording.